Thank you for joining me. I'm really excited to have you today on this show that we're having with Dr. Michael Grieger. We're so excited that he's here. And we are talking about disease proofing your diet, your lifestyle. And it's just amazing the power that your diet has over these things. So we're going to be getting into that today. I'm so excited to have you, Dr. Grieger, on the show. Welcome.
Happy to be here.
Yes. So I wanted to introduce you to the show. Dr. Grieger is a founding member of the Fellow American College of Lifestyle Medicine. He is a physician and New York Times bestselling author. I have all of his books, and he's internationally known for speaking on plant-based nutrition. He has lots of videos and free resources at nutritionfacts.org. I know a lot of people you might know his work from that website that's just got amazing information. I go there all the time. He has new videos and articles that are coming up almost every day, and he lectures across the world. He even testified before Congress. He was invited as an expert witness for that famous case with Oprah Winfrey when she had that meat defamation trial. So he's a graduate of Cornell University School of Agriculture and Tufts University School of Medicine. His 3 recent books, How Not to Die, the How Not to Die cookbook, and How Not to Diet, all became instant bestsellers. And he has 2 new books, How to Survive a Pandemic. I have not read that one yet. And the How Not to Die cookbook. So I do have that one. I can't wait to dig into that one. And the really cool thing, which I didn't realize before, is that he donates the sales that he receives from the books to charitable organizations. I think that's really cool. And I think a lot of people might not be aware of that. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here. And I wanted to kick this whole thing off and ask you a little bit about how, as a physician, a lot of physicians don't have a lot of knowledge in nutrition. It's just not part of their practice. And how did you become so engaged and passionate about plant-based nutrition as a physician?
Yeah, I was just a kid when the doctor sent my grandmother home in a wheelchair to die. She was diagnosed with end-stage heart disease. She already had so many bypass surgeries to basically run out of plumbing at some point. So confined in a wheelchair, crushing chest pain, her life was over at age 65. Then she heard about this guy, Nathan Pritikin, one of our early lifestyle medicine pioneers. And what happened next is actually detailed in Pritikin's biography. He talks about Frances Greger, my grandmother. They wheeled her in and she walked out. So she was given her medical death sentence at age 65, thanks to a healthy diet. She was able to enjoy another 31 years on this planet until age 96 to continue to enjoy 6 grandkids, including me. That's why I went into medicine. That's why I practice lifestyle medicine, why I started nutritionfacts.org, why I wrote How Not to Die, why all the proceeds of all my books are all donated to charity. I just want to do for everyone's family what Pritikin did for my family.
I remember Pritikin as a registered dietitian studying, he was just a pioneer in that area. So he was your real kind of role model, that really inspired you to get into that, which is great. So I'm interested, what kind of charitable organizations are you kind of supporting and passionate about?
Well, so nutritionfacts.org operates as a 501c3 nonprofit. And so a lot of the proceeds go directly to that. But, we realized early on that like all the research in the world, may not help unless we can actually put it into practice. And so we actually started a new nonprofit called Balanced to actually change food policy at a corporate level and school cafeterias and all around. And they're doing some wonderful work. And so we continue to give money to them. And there's all sorts of wonderful organizations. Physician Committee for Responsible Medicine. There's a group, in fact, after this, tonight, I'm doing a lecture with a group in Germany called ProVeg, working on changing dietary guidelines around the world. So yeah, all sorts of good things to actually take all this mountain of research and actually convert it into policy and convert it into making, the default option, the healthier option.
I really love that. There are a lot of visionary experts that are starting to think that way, that, if we create policies that actually make that as you said, the default, make it the easy choice, then it's really going to set people up for success. So I really appreciate that. And I'm a big fan of some of the organizations you just listed. I do some volunteer work with PCRM. So those are great places, and they provide such great resources and can really change lives, which kind of brings me to my next question is, a lot of times I think people undervalue how powerful diet is in health. I mean, we're giving all this information, but still I will hear all the time in my work, oh, it's my genes, I can't help it. My mother had heart disease. And I just want to just shake people to really let them know that diet can overcome these things. How can you talk to us a little bit about the power of diet on health?
Sure. I mean, that's really the good news, is that we have tremendous power over our health, destiny, and longevity. The vast majority of premature death and disability is preventable with a plant-based diet and other healthy lifestyle behaviors. Right now, according to the Global Burden of Disease Study, the largest study of risk factors in history, funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, number one cause of death in these United States, it's our diet. Bumping tobacco smoking to number two, cigarettes only kill about 500,000 Americans every year, whereas our diet kills many more. So number one cause of death, number one thing we can do to improve health and well-being of ourselves and our families, our communities, to stop stabbing ourselves 3 times a day with a fork.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, it's very powerful, and it is something we do every day. It's like you can actually treat your health conditions. You can prevent those conditions just with the power of the plate. So it's so important. And actually, I was wondering if you could kind of get into some of the research. We do know that things like heart disease and diabetes, I think people are really starting to know that these are related to diet, and as well as obesity. But there's kind of other areas opening up in health. What are some of the new areas that we're starting to see that a plant-based diet is related to when it comes to health outcomes?
Oh, well, it's not just preventing these diseases, but treating, arresting, even potentially reversing these conditions. I mean, that's the most exciting work, dating back to, for example, Dr. Dean Ornish's work with a lifestyle heart trial in 1990, decades now, where basically took Pritikin's idea, put it to the test in a randomized controlled trial, and used something called quantitative angiography. We actually look at the arteries inside, and you can see that you can reverse the progression of coronary artery disease, the number one killer of men and women with a healthy enough plant-based diet. And it's like, wait a second, if that's all a plant-based diet could do, reverse the number one killer of men and women, shouldn't that kind of be the default diet? And the fact that it also be so effective in preventing, arresting, and reversing other leading killers like type 2 diabetes and high blood pressure would seem to make the case for plant-based eating simply overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm familiar with Dr. Ornish's work, and it's really compelling. It's one thing to even, explain to people that you could prevent these conditions, and even if you have a family history, but then to actually reverse them is very exciting. And I think that, a lot of people are not aware of that. So I think that's great to get that out there. So I also wanted to ask you, I know you write about this in your work, but if you could just kind of give us a nutshell, if you could paint a picture of what this disease protective diet looks like, what does it look like?
It is a diet that minimizes the intake of meat, eggs, dairy, and junk, and maximizes the intake of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, which are beans, split peas, chickpeas, lentils, nuts and seeds, herbs and spices, mushrooms, basically real food that grows out of the ground from fields, not factories. Those are our healthiest choices.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I put it too. I always like to say things that come close to Mother Earth, that you can recognize the food the way it grew on the plant. You can see when you eat a beet, you can see the leaves of the beet not turned into beet sugar, or, really getting back to those whole foods.
You're making me hungry.
We're speaking the same language. Yeah, it's so true, because when you're shopping in stores these days, it's really hard to even find, you could be eating plant-based. It's easy to find plant-based food. A lot of junk foods are plant-based. So when you pick up a package, can you even identify those whole ingredients anymore? Is it just refined? It could be plants, but it's so refined it doesn't even resemble the original plant, then we're straying away from those benefits.
Stick to the protozoal.
Yes, yes, yes. And one thing I'm really interested is more diversity of plants. Is that something that you're kind of recommending too? Like even within the plant world, get more diverse, like have different types of vegetables you might not be familiar with.
Oh, absolutely. I've got videos. There's actually the studies being done on dietary diversity. And so, I mean, just as there are different nutrients in, the fruits and vegetables, different vegetables. So there's leafy vegetables, the leaves, or stem vegetables like rhubarb and celery. There are root vegetables like beets, sweet potatoes. There's flower vegetables like cauliflower and broccoli. Different parts of the plant, different nutrient compositions. So even different parts of the same plant, you can think about. And so, yeah, in general, we should, eat the rainbow every day.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I know that there are a lot of people trying to eat more plant-based. I hear from them all the time. I'm sure you do too. What are some of the pitfalls that you see that as people are trying to eat more plant-based, what are some of the mistakes they're making? Or what are some of the opportunities that they can eat more of this whole food plant-based diet?
One sticking point. I think some people who are used to eating kind of a standard Western diet, standard American diet, and they started eating plant-based, they may just not be eating enough food. People don't realize how calorically dilute whole plant foods are. And so if you eat the same amount of food, so you look down at a dinner plate, and you're like, okay, this is dinner. This much food is considered dinner. Well, you can't eat just that much food, because if you did, I mean, you'd be on like some kind of weird starvation diet or something. And so you just have to eat more food. In fact, some people may have to eat more frequent meals. They have some like trail mix or something with some calorically dense foods like nuts, dried fruits, smoothies, things like that. Because just to get their caloric needs for the day. I mean, it's great for people who are trying to lose weight, but if you find yourself, people are like, oh, I feel hungry. Well, look, you just ate 500 calories today. Of course you're hungry. My God.
Yeah, I see that too.
You gotta eat more food. That's a secret.
Yeah, I see that too. People will say, especially when they're new to plant-based eating, they'll say, I'm hungry, I just don't feel satisfied. And they're not. And the other thing I see is they're just eating maybe vegetables. It's like, no, you got to have the whole thing. You got to have some pulses. You have to have some whole grains. You need to have that balance. So
Great.
that
Sounds good. Making me hungry again.
Well, then it's perfect to queue up for my next question. I would love to hear what you would eat in a typical day. Like we would just love to see what's in your fridge and what's on your plate.
Well, that's why I came up with my Daily Dozen, Dr. Greger's Daily Dozen, available on a free app, iPhone and Android. Talks about all the things I try to fit into my daily routine. So berries every day, for example, the healthiest fruits, greens every day, the healthiest vegetables, beans every day, tablespoon of ground flaxseed, a quarter teaspoon turmeric, the best beverages, the best sweetener, how much exercise to get every day. Again, just try to inspire people to include some of the healthiest of healthy options into their daily diet. And if you actually want to how do you put it all together? I have two cookbooks now, the How Not to Die cookbook, the How Not to Diet cookbook. I'll have a third cookbook coming out December 2023. So people can enjoy.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful. People are always asking me for specifics. Okay, what do I actually do? So that kind of information is really great because when you're eating a certain way, the standard American diet, sometimes it's hard for people to imagine how you switch that all out. So really that specific information can be super helpful. I love what you're talking about. Berries, I recommend the same thing. Berries there's so much research on berries and green leafy vegetables every day.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Beans.
You are right on the money.
Yeah. And I just want to let you know that in our live chat today, I'm going to be sharing all these resources from Dr. Greger. We'll have links to all of the things we're talking about today. I'm also going to be sharing one of his favorite recipes that he shared with us, and that's the stone fruit bowls. So we're going to be sharing that. So you can check out, at the blog that goes along with this live chat for all of these resources. So thank you so much for joining us. I know you're a busy man. Just keep doing all this wonderful work you're doing. You're saving, countless lives. So thanks for your inspiration.
Keep up the good work yourself.
All right, bye. Nice to see you.